San Francisco.
Alright, you guys, this is episode 27 of Inner Demons. I'm going to get straight into it, but before I do, I want to make a couple quick announcements real quick. So first and foremost, man, I hope you guys have been enjoying all the content that we've been putting out. Man, me and Sam, man, we've been busting ass trying to get out as much content and some of the best content as we can for you guys, man. It's a lot of work. Trust me on that, man. When I tell you guys that the work that we put into the content, when I tell you guys it's time consuming, I can't emphasize that enough, man. Sleep deprivation is a part of my world. I don't remember what it feels like to get a good solid 8 hours of sleep in, man. I swear I don't. A lot of the times I'm working on content until 2 in the morning, and I'll fall asleep with my keyboard in my lap, and I'll wake up at 4, and I drink me some coffee, and I'm right back on track. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of work, man. You know, a lot of these guys, man, and a shout out to all the content creators, but a lot of them, they're able to just turn on the computer, fire it up, get in front of the camera, and then just bump jibs. Just bump jibs, throw a thumbnail on that shit, done. You know what I mean? But that's not what we do, man. That's not what we do. We put a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of research, and a lot of just a lot of work into trying to create some of the best content, man. I'm always trying to figure out ways to make it better. I don't know how many times a day I hit Sandman and say, hey, bro, we need to do this, or we got to do that. We got to step our game up over here. We got to do this. You know what I mean? I'm constantly doing that. You know, you guys got to understand this too. The profiles that I write and the Q&As and all that stuff, or the profiles, Q&As, what else do I write? Well, anyway, all this stuff that I narrate, obviously besides the books, I write that. That verbiage is all me right there. I don't copy that shit out the fucking newspaper, out of fucking a copy of Newsweek magazine. I write all that. You know, the stuff on Salinas Valley or High Desert, or on you know, some of the NF content that I put out. That stuff comes from me, man. And that's why it takes me so long. Sandman said it the other day, man. There's times where you'll be working on a profile for like 3-4 days, man, and you know that ain't no bullshit, straight up. But you know, along with all the time and the effort, is we put a lot of pride into it, man. That's why, and I believe that it shows. I hope it does, man, because there ain't no half step in here, man. We're really trying to get it. So anyway, man, that's all I wanted to say. Oh, the other thing is this, man. So with that being said, I know that I've neglected Inner Demons a lot, man. This is like the 3rd or 4th time that I've done it, and I got no excuse other than to say, just bear in mind that it's because I'm working on other content. And when I'm not working on profiles or Q&As, I'm hitting you guys with war stories. When I'm not doing that, I'm cutting videos. When I'm not doing that, I'm writing the content, the stuff that I read, man. So it's a lot of work, you know what I mean? But we're built for it. We like to do it. We're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna keep it moving. I'm just asking you guys to just bear with us, man. I'll give Inner Demons some love, and I'll try to bring it back up to where I want to be right now on Inner Demons, as far as, you know, how far along in the process. But that's all I really wanted to say, man. You know, just we're not over here sitting on our hands. We're not there's no idle time over here, man. We're constantly working. My world right now evolves around fucking YouTube and creating content. Shout out to all the content creators, especially those of you that are really putting in work. hours, effort, that are really just trying to put out good shit, man. Your name's on it, so you know what you put out, that's a reflection of you. Anyway, let me get straight to it without further ado, man. I think I'm just rambling now. So episode 26, first time in Pelican Bay, straight learning experience, man. I ended up running into 2 DOs, and these were some savvy, crafty individuals. And you know, in retrospect, I'm not surprised, man. In the late 80s, early 90s, you had a lot of those type of dudes, those kind of DOs. They were bona fide dropouts. And what I mean by that is, so right, 96, between 96 and the millennium, 2000 on up, you've seen a steady influx of DOs, like just, man, a whole fucking generation of these guys, man, that just a booming population. Whereas back in those days, in the early days, you might have 1, 2, or 3 DOs in a whole block. Now you had whole blocks and overflows of dropouts because there's so many of them. But these are a different kind of dropout. They're a different animal. They weren't like the DOs of the 70s and 80s. Those were bona fide DOs. These were guys that we used to treat with a level of respect because we knew that they were still, hey, they're gamed up, they know their weaponry, and these dudes will hit you if they get a chance. The DOs that came later, a lot of them were looked at as like they were just youngsters, just wild ass kids, man, that got involved in something that was above their heads, man. But nobody really took them serious. Nobody gave them that respect. Nobody looked at them as a threat. I seen it all play out, so you know I know what I'm talking about, man. But you know the DOs that I'm talking about, like the ones that I ran into up in the Bay, these dudes had B numbers and C numbers. You know what I mean? They weren't these double numbers that these guys got, A B 622. These guys had them old numbers, man. So they were bona fide dropouts. And you know, the other thing is this. Pelican Bay is a huge facility. There was a lot of those dudes like Poncho and his CELLIE, Jaime, lurking in the shoe program. But you would never know that they were there unless somebody told you, unless you heard them, or unless they reached out. You know what I mean? Other than that, you would never know that they were there. They could be in a pod next door to you for 3-4 years, and if they never communicated, they just stuck to themselves, you would never know that they were there. So, you know, when I look back and I reflect back on some of the things that happened during that short period of time when I ran into these individuals, there's a lot of things that I should have and could have did different, and I know that now, but it's because of what I know now. But you know, I didn't. I was young, man, and just going to Pelican Bay, just that alone was a big thing for me. I heard all the stories, all the hype, all the shit I'm sure a lot of you heard about the Bay. You know, back in those days, man, you used to hear, man, your food came to you on a flying saucer, man. The fucking shower rolled right to your door. Your mail was read on a screen. I mean, it was all a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? But there were so many different stories floating around about Pelican Bay, and it was like this massive facility that had crazy security, and all the shot callers and leadership were up there. So, you know, you're in your early 20s and you're getting ready to go up there for the first time. I'm not gonna say you're scared and you know, you're terrified to get up there, but it was a shock. It was a wake up call to get up there and to go into that environment for the first time. That alone right there, man. Pelican Bay is one of those prisons where you can feel it in the air. Like I've said, in High Desert and Salinas Valley and those profiles, you feel something in the air that's not right. And it's because of the type of individuals that are there, for one. And death is always around the corner, man. It's always right there around the corner waiting to happen. So after that incident would end up playing out, I believe that there was another homeboy that was over there, and I believe he found out I was there because he went to the law library, and by then, Corny and then found out I was over there, and he probably told, hey, holler at the homie, he's over there in C-Pod, he been there by himself, and nobody's reached out. So this individual reached out. His name was Glenn Marquez, night out from Sacramento. So, so check it out, man. I'm not even there for 5 days, and shit gets cracking. Like that one cat said, man, shit. I don't talk. I get straight bracking. But anyway, on the real. So I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again, man. Just for the purpose of this episode right here. At that time up in Pelican Bay, there was no door policy. There wasn't an agreement. We were told that if the doors opened up, that we were to torpedo out and engage with the opposition. Period. Whites, Sureños, any of their sympathizers, anybody that rolled with them, they were to get rushed. No questions asked, man. It didn't matter if they weren't posing a threat. It didn't matter. If they came out on the tier, or if the door opened and you had a chance to go up in the cell, you were supposed to come out and do what you do. So, like I said, it wasn't even 5 days that I was there in the cell with Night Owl, and the door popped when we were out on the tier getting our supplies. And I'm gonna say this, man. I used to gangbang, and I used to have a slighted way of looking at Southsiders. I grew up, and I was taught not to like them, so that was something that was ingrained with me. But 22 years old, up in Pelican Bay, I had done a little bit of time, had been around Sureños, I had interacted with them in Susanville, so it wasn't like I wanted the doors to pop and I wanted to engage with these dudes. I didn't have a problem with them. If the door popped, I do what I had to do, but I just didn't sit there by my door hoping that the door would pop so I could fight with these dudes. I didn't have no issues with them. If I did, it'd be different, and it would be personal. But my point is this, man. So when I slid over to the pod with the homie, it was a whole different environment. The vibe that was the vibe that was in that pod was it was like they were on some YA shit, man. The mad dogging, the walking by the cells without with the cold shoulder, no communication, no acknowledgement, going out on the yard, striking up their hoods on the door and shit, man. Don't nobody want to see that shit. You know what I mean? You guys know where I'm from. You don't want to see San Fran Michon XIV written scratched on the door real big. But that's the type of shit they were doing. They were youngsters, man. And, I chalked it up to these guys are uneducated. They don't got nobody. They don't got a leader over here, somebody that'll give them some guidance and that'll give them some game. So, they're gonna act up, and that's what they were doing, man. So I didn't mind that the door opened. I really didn't. I was only there for 5 days, but within that 5 days, there were a couple of them that I had my eyes on that I was like, I hope the doors do pop out. They do pop on us, so we can go out there and fucking get on these dudes, man. And sure a motherfucking enough, the door pops open. So we're out on the tier. We're out on, and I'm gonna tell you guys like this. I honestly believe that it was done on purpose, and I'm gonna tell you why in a second. So back in those days, I'm sure it's changed throughout the years, and nothing is in concrete as far as how they ran the program. But at least in those days, when the COs that used to work in that unit, whenever you had a package, or whenever you had canteen, or you got supplies, they would pull you out to the front door, to the grill gate, the gate that the pod gate, and you do it right there instead of the COs coming in and standing at your door and popping your tray slot. So you walk out and you bring your little plastic your cup or your bags to get your Comet and your soap and all that shit. And anyway, so on this day, man, we walk out, we're getting our supplies. I'm getting Comet and soap and shit, and the next thing you know, I hear a door pop. And as soon as the door pops, we both turn and look. Me and Night Owl, both of us. He had a banger in the cell. but he didn't bring it out to get the supplies. He usually did, and this is one time, the one time that he didn't bring it out. Whenever we come out to the showers, or whenever one of us would go to yard, we would bring it out. But anyway, he left it in the cell. So the door pops. These two youngsters come out, and they were our neighbors. And these two dudes, like I said, I didn't mind at all that they popped the door on those. Because if I had my choice, it would probably those two that I would have wanted them to pop out with us. So they come out, they rush us, they come at us, man. And I'm not gonna say this at with no arrogance or to sound tough, man. But it wasn't even a fight. It wasn't even a fair fight. Night Owl was a big dude. I was a healthy ass dude. We were two beasts in that cell. That's all we did is fucking work out. We had 2 blocks. And I just came out. You got to understand, Susanville, they had a weight pile. So, I just come from a prison before that I was out on a weight pile blowing up. But anyway, that's what we used to do in the cell is we had 2 big ass blocks of legal work. And we used to just be in there just getting it, man. So we were both healthy dudes. These 2 cats that came out, man, they didn't even look like they worked out. And they were young, man. They were young ass cats. Now, I call them young, but at the same time, I was probably the same age as them. I was 22. But young, I'm talking about when I say young, I'm talking about as far as mentality. Because these dudes carry themselves like straight idiots, man. I conducted myself with an air of respect, like I had been around, like I had done time before. But that's not how these dudes carry themselves. I'm telling you, they were... they would come in off the yard and walk by the cell without even looking in. And that's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. It's like you look and you're like, oh, fuck you then, man. You know what I mean? Or, sometimes when they did look, they would look just a little bit too long, man. Like, you're trying to eye fuck somebody. And then, like I said, the striking up of their hoods on the yard door, they would scratch it on the door. I seen, X3 everywhere, their hoods and shit. And nobody wants to see my hood. So it's disrespectful, man. I felt like they did that not just to represent their hood, but to say, fuck you to us, man. So it was all good, man. That had never happened to me before when I was in CPOP by myself with the other Southsiders over there. And I'm glad it didn't, because there were some cool ass cats. If it had, then it had. I would have done my thing. I'm sure they would have done theirs. But I just didn't have a beef with these cats where I wanted the doors to pop and for us to get out on the tier and give these COs an opportunity to lay one of us out. You know what I mean? There was nothing to gain from it. But anyway, so these cats, the door pops open. I drop my fucking supplies, everything I have in my hands, and I meet them like halfway. We met up by the stairs. One squares up with Night Owl, the other one squares up with me, and it happened so fast that it was literally over before it even begun. And I don't mean that. I mean that in more ways than one. So the one that came at me, he came at me all crazy. He ran up. And I literally backed up and fucking did a double pump and fucking laid his ass out. I hit him with a smoking Joe Frazier right. Straight up, man. I didn't knock him out, but I cracked him and put him on his motherfucking cachetes, man. I didn't even get a chance to get on him before it was over. I turned. Homeboy was handling the other one by himself. He was on the other one. I was gonna get on him. The one that Night Owl was fighting with, but George, the guy in the tower, who was a cool ass cop, he'd already busted on us with the Bertha, and he was getting ready to bust with the 14. So we laid out. We all proned out. Nobody said nothing. There was no shit talking after we were on the ground. When we proned out, they made us one by one. They told one of them to get in the shower. So one of them went in the lower shower. The other one, they made get in the upper shower. And then me and Night Owl, they had him get up first because he was closer to to the door. They cuffed him up, took him out. They cuffed me up, took me out. Then they went in the pod, cuffed those guys up. Why they went in ourselves and hit ourselves, I don't know. But unfortunately, we had a banger. And this was the one time that the homie didn't bring it out with us. We were working out, and they popped us for supplies, and supplies were quick. We grab our soap, grab our Comet, our little green pad, and usually we were back in the cell. Whenever we would come out for showers, or he would come out for yard, or I come out for yard, we always bring that banger with us, man. But this was the one time that we did it. And they ended up going in the cell, and they found it. It was in his bunk. It was in his mattress. So, it was right there. It was right there under the mattress, on top of his concrete, the bed, the slab. So, didn't nobody get whooped? Nobody got fucking beat down. But what that situation did right there is it brought some measure of respect to the pod. It brought some measure of respect to me and my cellie. Because these youngsters weren't all cocky after that. You know what I mean? And their homies seen what happened. They seen what happened. I'm going to go as far as saying this. I was only there for a little bit while longer before I would end up paroling. But I could have swore a couple times that I heard them talking on the gate amongst each other. And they were clowning those two cats for getting whooped on the tier, man. Straight up. Now the reason why I think it was done purposely is because the CO that worked up in the control booth, his name was George. Cool ass cat. Always on his toes, never made mistakes. And George was, I would find this out later, but even then I remember he was doing it back then. So on the control panel, you have a bunch of buttons. Everything is controlled by electricity up there. It's all electric. The doors, whenever your door opens up, it's on an electric rack. It opens up and they close it. So he had these little caps that I used to see him put on top of the buttons. And the whole purpose for that was to minimize the possibility of him making a mistake and pushing the wrong button. As long as those caps are on top of the buttons, you're not going to be able to push them. So you can't make a mistake like that. However, these two Southsiders that they let out with us on the tier, they were disrespectful. They were always disrespecting staff. So I believe that George did that on purpose. We didn't even get written up, and it's because they came out while we were out on the tier. You know what I mean? It looked like they came out and rushed us, even though they got the bad end of it. That's just the way it happened. It was, that situation that happened right there, I had waited for it to happen the entire time I was there when I was in the other pod. But like I said, I'm glad he did it. It would have been a whole different type of fight. I know that because the other Southsiders that were over there, some of them were Emin. The Woods that were over there, there were some good sized dudes. Not going to say they would have, they would have. You never know what would have happened, man. You never know. But I believe that I would have had with any one of those dudes that were in the pod, I would have had a good heads up fight with any one of them. Not just the fact that I was by myself and it would have always been a 2-on-1 because they all had cellies. I would have been by myself. Anyway, so that happened. It was funny, man. It was comical. The one that I got, I would say out of all, if I had a choice to say, you know what, I wish they could pop us out with these guys because they're the ones that are fucking pushing this YA shit. It would have been the ones that came out, and the one that came at me was the one with the biggest attitude. You know what I mean? But it took a lot of that pep out of his step. The fact that he got dropped on the tier and the fact that his cellie got tossed around like a rag doll. It changed the whole demeanor in the pod, man. Anyway, I'd end up paroling. So after that incident, I was thinking I'm gonna get written up. I'm probably gonna end up doing another 90 days. No write up, nothing. the floor officer was like, hey man, you guys ain't getting written up, you know what I mean? You guys were out on the tier, and you know, so you got to defend yourself. It was like a freebie, man. But anyway, homeboy got written up, but he did get written up for my cellies for the banger. They found it. It was right there on his rack, where he kept it in the cell under a towel at all times. We kept it right there. But it was that one mental mistake, and it cost, man. I remember writing them when after I had got home too, and the DA had initially picked it up, but then they ended up dropping it. Homeboy wasn't a lifer either, so he was stressed out. But he ended up beating it, or he didn't beat it. They dropped it, so he ended up being all right, man. Anyway, so after this time right here, that was another incident that I got into up in Pelican Bay. So I probably won't have to. I don't even think it's worthy of a war story. I mean, it was a fist fight, and those kind of fights, man, I can't really say that was a W. Even though I'm the one that dropped that cat, and even though my celly was on the other dude, and if you would have let him go, he would have destroyed the dude. But in these kind of fights, man, when you're fighting and the COs you're fighting under a gun and you're getting shot at, there's no winner. You can't declare a winner. You know what I mean? Just like you guys are gonna hear about these gladiator fights that I got into. When you're going out there and you're fighting with these dudes and you're fighting under a gun, you might be the better man that day. If nobody gets knocked out, you might just, you know, that your right cross and your motherfucking left uppercut might have been working. You might have been the one connecting that day. But the following week, when you guys go back out, maybe that left cross and that right uppercut ain't working, and his is. But either way, before you can get a real determined winner, most of the time you guys are gonna get put on the deck, proned out, and it's gonna be over, man. So you don't really get to, you know, what I'm saying is you don't really get to engage in a full fight until somebody taps out, or until somebody's beat the fuck up and don't want to fight no more. So those are not wins. They're just altercations, man. You can't really say, you know, I whooped your ass, and I would never say that to these dudes. And there was never no woofing or talking after we fought. It was, hey, if anything, I'll shake your hand and let's do it again, homie. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it again, and keep doing what we got to do. It's as simple as that. Anyway, so I'd end up staying there for probably about another month. I was short, man. I had already been down for a minute. I remember I paroled from Pelican Bay. First time I wasn't on high control parole yet. They hadn't even come out with high control parole. I remember the day that I paroled. So they come and get me early in the morning. I'm happy as a motherfucker. I'm getting out fresh, healthy. They come and they pull me out. I strip out. They walk me all the way down to R&R. And once I get to R&R, they give me my dress out. I put on my shit. I'm like, hell yeah. Getting ready to hit these motherfucking streets again, man. There's no feeling like that feeling when you're giving your freedom back and you're healthy and you're ready to go. You're ready to see, you know, your girl, if you got kids, your family, you know what I mean? So there's no feeling better than that feeling of getting your freedom returned to you, man. I can't explain it. It's just the best feeling in the world. After you've been locked up and you've been deprived of things for, you know, a year or however long you've been locked up, there's nothing that compared to it. Anyway, so I remember the first time I paroled, I went in R&R. They dressed me out, counted out my $200, and they held on to it until we left. So we get in the van and we drive to Crescent City, to the little city part, if you really want to call it that. It's like a little small fucking, there's nothing out there, man. I mean, it's somewhat of a small city, but the Greyhound station was literally, you could probably fit a soda machine and 2 chairs in there. That was like the lobby. And then there was a window, and then there was one enough for like 2 people behind the window. It was hella small, man. It's like a closet. Anyway, I remember walking in there. Uh, when the van pulls up, they let me out. All 3 of us walk in. I was the only one that day paroling, and the 2 COs walked in with me, and they handed me my money, and I walked up and I'm like, I need a ticket to San Francisco, and I paid for it. She gave me the ticket, and then we walked outside. Now I'm outside and I'm chilling. And I'm like, I want to drink like a motherfucker. I want a beer, something. But these cats post up. They posted up with me. They told me we're not gonna leave until we see you physically get on the bus and leave. It's all good. I ain't tripping. So anyway, they stand there the whole time. I'm just chilling. You know, they're trying to talk to me. I said, what are you gonna do, man? You know, where you stay at? Or you got things lined up? You got a job? And, you know what I mean? So anyway, the bus finally pulls up. It pulls up, and the bus driver's gassing up the bus now. So it's all right there, like the personal little Greyhound gas pump and all that. They gas up the bus. These 2 officers stood there until I got on the bus, and then I seen them drive off. So, you know, the crazy thing, before I end this part of it, the crazy thing about the way that they used to do it back then is, well, let me tell you guys, I'll just tell you what happened. So when the bus finally starts going towards San Francisco, driving back through Northern California, all these little small rural towns and shit, when I see a bunch of the stops, they kept stopping at small stores, little liquor stores. So right away, the first time we get to a liquor store, I see it. Oh fuck, I'm gonna go get me an Old English 800 or a Mickey's. So I get off the bus, and as I'm getting off the bus, I can see like there's a couple people that are working in the store. One of them comes around and walks over to the coolers and posts up by the beer coolers. So, you know, my happy ass, I come walking in, and I go to the where the beer's at, and the guy's standing in front of the cooler, and I'm like, excuse me, man. He's like, oh no, there's no alcohol. And I'm like, what? He's like, no, we can't sell you guys no alcohol. We're under strict orders not to sell anybody any alcohol that comes off of Greyhound. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. So I'm like, all right, man, whatever, man. So I go back, I get a soda or something, motherfucker. And then I do the same thing on the next one, and it's the same shit. They're on it, man. They were on it all the way until eventually, it's like some cats got on, man. I forget where it was out there by fucking Humboldt somewhere. I don't know. But there was like some cool little youngsters that got on, some white cats. And you know, we start chopping it up, and I'm telling him, man, fuck, I just got out and I want a beer, I want something. He was like, bro, when we get to Santa Rosa, the next stop, he goes, give me $20. He was like, I'll go get you whatever you want. There's a store right there. And I tell him, boom, go get me a 40 ounce and give me a little pint of some fucking what do you call that shit? Puerto Rican rum, some motherfucking Bacardi. 101, whatever that shit's called. So he goes, he comes back, he gets it, and I'm like, hell yeah, man. Now I'm drinking now. I'm on the bus. By the time I hit Frisco, man, boy, I was faded because I was drinking my beer and I kept taking shots, man, by myself. So I get to the airport, and not the airport, the fucking terminal, the bus station in downtown San Francisco. I'm drunk, walking sideways like a motherfucker. And you know, I'm having to deal with that PTSD for the first time, man. I get out there, and I see pigeons and people walking around, and cars and buses, and there's so many different noises and colors and things happening, and there's so many different things moving. It was like, man, I had to get the fuck off the street. It's like I'm freaking out, man. I don't know how to explain it to you guys. I know I've said it before, but when you're back there in the shoe, it's a security thing. You're trying to watch everything that's happening. If anything moves, you know, the doors squeak. You know what that means. But as far as watching things, something moves, you're gonna try to, you know, I'm trying to watch this pigeon, I'm trying to watch this car, this person over here, and it was like, man, I just need to slip into an alley somewhere and chill, man. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose it. You know what I mean? I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown, straight up. So I get a 40 and I slip off into an alley right there in downtown San Francisco, right there by the Tenderloin, man. And I start drinking my beer, man. I start relaxing. This shit just mellows me out. Um, I'm already still faded from the other beer that I was drinking in Santa Rosa, in the Bacardi, but you know, it starts to calm me down again, and then I'm able to function. And that's how I would function, man. Every time I would get out on these parole violations, I needed alcohol. It was the first thing I got early in the morning, as soon as I wake up, and it was the last thing that I would drink at nighttime, man. But so, look, man, episode 28. I might cut it tonight. I don't know. We'll see. But next episode, you know, basically, I'm gonna end up run around on the streets. I'm gonna end up getting a violation, catching another violation, and this time, instead of sending me back to Pelican Bay, they're gonna shoot me to Corcoran. It's gonna be cracking over there, man. It's the first time I'm gonna end up hitting Corcoran. Gladiator Days is in full effect. So I'm gonna give you guys the whole get down. We're gonna get into that, and those are gonna be upcoming episodes of War Stories as well. So, you know, I might talk about something, but I'll probably go into a lot more detail in the War Stories. But anyway, man, hey, this is episode 27. I hope you guys liked it. I might hit you with 28 tonight. We'll see what happens. But in any event, I'll at least getting this one out to you guys right here. Without further ado, it's your boy B, man, and I'm out.